find out in the draft, and I believe they're ready to get that started now. So we'll see. First up, it is Liberation X. They'll have the first global ban, and then they will have the first pick as well. So they can think about that, and once again, there will be no fortress for Nemesis Hydra.
Strategy-wise here, I think Liberation X should have banned Arden, leaving Fortress for Hydra to ban or first picking Fortress. In doing so, like even if Hydra was to ban Fortress, they could first pick Catherine, having 3 supports already out and only Adagio left. Would have given them a very good early game comp, but this also works out for them, although it's not ideal. Nemesis Hydra is pretty much going to find a comfort pick. They're going to try and secure either Koshka or Ringo in lane for sure.
That's interesting because that's something we saw in the European qualifiers that G2 Esports did unbelievably well, was taking away the enemy team's first comfort pick, then picking their second comfort pick, forcing them onto a third. We haven't seen quite that level of sophistication in the picks and bans, more focusing on the comps themselves. So we'll see what Liberation X has in store here at their first pick, as that is about to come in.
Koshka?
Arden?
It is the Koshka, Hafu. I feel like yesterday and the day before, Rome, you could do no wrong with the predictions, but Hafu has been more on point, including predicting that Old School would play the Celeste there.
Oh, definitely.
As well.
I was wrong there.
But we'll see. All right, it's Nemesis Hydra now. Hardik will not be on the Koshka. It will be Liberation X, getting to put status baked on the Koshka, and we'll see how they respond. And it will be a Scarf Hafu.
Yeah, I like this pickup. I mean, it kind of gives them into that late scaling, and I'm not sure if they're going to pick Petal again. Do you think that's going to come?
So yeah, in my head I was thinking, are they going to pick Petal again? Because Petal here is actually a really good pick for them.
And why is that?
Because Petal kiting to Koshka is pretty much like how Petal played Glaive that game. You're forcing them to dive onto you when you have so many options of slowing them down, kiting backwards, and your minions deal like an absurd amount of damage.
And Hafu, really, Frostburn has been a key item across the board in this tournament.
Yes, once that Petal finishes that Frostburn, it seems like her kiting potential just goes up so much more. With the minions proccing the Frostburn, you really can't do anything to get away.
It is difficult, especially with that trampoline to close the gap or to escape, and it is an Arden complementing the Scarf roam.
Yeah, so will they pick a Petal last? They have that option, and probably be pretty sick play on their behalf.
What's interesting, of course, we have seen Hardik on the Scarf in the qualifiers when they had I Love Joseph in jungle. They could always, switch it up, but most likely co-eds on that Scarf in the lane?
Yeah, most likely for sure. With Liberation is maybe a Ringo last pick.
It comes off the board. Why'd you say that?
Because I really like Ringo on T-Tigers. Like, this is where he plays it best. Like, he's really good at farming like we've seen last game. Plus, having that early option of the attack speed and being able to finish off creep so quickly, he's able to rotate down, meet up with the Koshka, who's already like jungle dependent, already like always pressuring the jungle in the early levels.
And Hafu, you play a lot of blue mages. It can be terrifying when that Achilles shot lands, the Ringo comes after you.
Absolutely. I mean, Ringo is definitely the lane bully, wouldn't you say? From the early levels, and if he's able to be dominant in lane, he can roam a lot better than his Scarf can.
All right, Nemesis Hydra, their final, oh no, it's Liberation X, so they round out their comp with the Adagio that we didn't talk about yet, and then Nemesis Hydra finishes off with Glaive. Rome, talk about these full comps now.
I really like Liberation X's comp this time. Like, it runs more into their aggressive strategy, and it suits them a lot better. On Nemesis Hydra's side is these are all comfort picks for Nemesis Hydra. So how they're gonna play this out is making those smart plays in the early game, like using Glaive to set up early game kills instead of overreaching too far and getting punished in the back jungle.
Now, we've seen Adagio with Rona a lot, or with a Glaive a lot, focusing on Agent of Wrath. We've seen some Crystal builds. How do you play the Adagio now with a Crystal jungle, and what role will he really play in this match?
Well, I'm going to prioritize getting like a first item with the defensive stats. So if my Ringo is able to pick up an early reflex block, I would go for a Fountain instead. And after that, I would go straight CP, getting a Frostburn, something really help him out. Like just having that extra, the ratios like balance out with his buff and with his heal. he's able to benefit both Koshka jumping in and Ringo kiting from far away.
Okay, interesting. So Hafu potentially the early game defense might be important. They can anticipate with the shields, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, as we've seen, it's really important to get a little bit of tankiness, and even the aggressors are going to stack on defensive items because you can stay in the fights a lot longer.
Okay. So, Rome, you've had time to think about these teams. You've had a chance now to see the first game. What would you expect to see in, say, the first 5 minutes? And, based on that, what would that indicate for the rest of the match?
In the first 5 minutes, I want to see T-Tigers rotating down a lot with Ringo and pretty much Liberation X just trying to force their way into Hydra's jungle. What Scarf has to do is he's not really able to rotate down as quick. Like, he scales into the late game, so he's going to have to focus most of his time getting that CS in the lane. And with pressure coming in from Ringo early, he has to stick back. Like, he has to choose either one or the other, rotate down or keep farming with the CS.
All right, fill this in for me. For Liberation X, they win match 2 if
they play to their strengths, just making those early rotations and extending but not getting caught.
And Nemesis Hydra, the same question.
Playing a little bit passively, they scale way better into the late game. So positioning-wise, they got to be smart. Getting that vision up early, they got to be smart. And Lost Boy Toph is going to be using his vanguards at the perfect timing just to help Glaive get in or get out.
Oh, but Hafu, that is not their typical way of approaching this for Nemesis Hydra. They're going to have to play, at least according to Rome, a little bit more passive now. Obviously, the players have the quality, but that's an interesting wrinkle for them.
It is, but I mean, when you're facing another aggressive team, you are kind of expecting them to play relentlessly aggressive, right? I think of the two teams, Liberation X is more traditionally aggressive. So, I mean, we saw Nemesis Hydra with a pedal pick to counteract that aggressiveness, and I think they definitely can adapt.
All right, so let's go, of course, to Action Jackson and Vidius. I can't wait for match 2.
Thank you again, Playoff Beard. We're back here on the caster desk for Game 2. What a Game 1 as well. Nemesis Hydra with the pedal doing so much work. We've got a big one coming up ahead of us. This is an important one for the side of Liberation X to win, because if they don't, they're one game away from losing at the finals. It's a critical game to win. Vidius, how do you think it's going to go down?
They stick to what they know. They have an aggressive style of composition, especially winning this Koshka Adagio combination. They have that ability to come out ahead in these 2 versus 2s. It's something that Liberation X are known for. If they can just execute it perfectly during the early game, they can run away with it.
All right, well, we are getting onto the fold, guys, for Game 2 of this best of 5. It is going to be a very important one, as I said, for both of these teams. Liberation X probably feeling fairly stressed after that last loss. No one was expecting the pedal this time round. Much more standard team compositions. Liberation X potentially feeling more at home here.
Yeah, so what we do see is very standard starts from both sides. Nothing too unconventional coming out. The thing we need to keep our very close eye on is what Status Baked is going to try and do with this Koshka. Very well known for the hero, and very well renowned in the North American scene. So if they go for that early invade, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. You can already see Nemesis Hydra trying to get that early level 2, but the engagement is going to come out. Rotation from T-Tigers.
Yeah, he's already come down here, and that could be bad news for Nemesis Hydra. They're taking a lot of damage here. Lost Boy Toph just turns around. He knows that he is a goner, tries to put it back onto Dawn Eclipse. Now Hardek going to be the target, but he gets some backup from Coez and backs himself out of that situation. Liberation X with a very quick kill here. Oh, it looks like Status Baked wants even more, though. Look at that damage coming out of Status Baked. That is going to be a good afterburn. Coeds, though, is going to fall for his teammate. And the jungle minion keeping Hardek in a tough spot. Status Baked, he's going to try and dive the turret, taking a lot of damage there. T-Tigers, he just needed one more attack, but could not find it. 2 quick kills for LibX.
So this is the aggression that I was talking about. Liberation X looking for these engagements. Not only that, the very early rotation, which is what T-Tigers is renowned for in the North American scene. He loves to join his team very early on into the game, go for that 3-man push, try and use the numbers advantage to get themselves some quick early kills, and that is exactly what happened. Very well played from T-Tigers, very well played from the entire lineup of Liberation X to get themselves a very early advantage.
Yeah, and it's all about maintaining that, though, because last game we certainly saw NemH doing some work in the first fight, picking up an ace at 1 minute over Nemesis Hydra, but the turnaround from Nemesis was just too much for them to deal with. Nemesis, they're going to try and make some plays here already. T-Tigers does get Afterburn back into the remaining members of Nemesis Hydra. He's taking a lot of damage. Fan the Flames is ticking. He's going to go down. That is the first kill picked up for Nemesis.
So, nice response coming out from Nemesis Hydra to set up a 3-man gank up in the top half of the map. They were able to catch T-Tigers out of position thanks to that beautiful combination with the speed up from the Vanguard along with the afterburn of Hardek. That was very nicely done, and they are going to return a kill on the board and actually get a bit of a gold advantage.
Right now, Nemesis as well, face-checking a bush. They might not want to be doing this. Co-Eds, look at the damage. Status Big finds another kill. They want Lost Boy Toph too. He is getting chunked out. Status gets a double. And Liberation X are 4-1 right now at only 3 minutes into the game. That said, only a 200 gold advantage.
It certainly is. The thing is, getting these kills in the early game isn't going to provide you with a huge amount of gold, but it will provide you with a lot of pressure. But speaking of pressure, look at the damage Hardek is
T-Tigers,
taking.
he's putting some serious hurt onto Hardek. One more auto, he finds the kill. And actually, Hardek biting off way more than he could chew there, thinking he could 1 versus 1 Tigers. He goes down.
Very strange decision-making coming out from Hardek. T-Tigers is playing Ringo. Naturally does a lot of damage during the early stages of the game, and if you don't respect that, especially with very little armor on you, you're going to end up paying for it with your life.
Look at this, Hardek taking a ton of damage right off the bat from Status Baked with that passive. Doesn't find the jungle camp, and actually the turnaround, Dawn Eclipse looking for a bit of a kill there. At the moment, Nemesis are being denied completely from their own jungle. Hardek actually might get caught out here. 1 or 2 more autos would be enough. He runs into Tigers, but he's not watching. He gets away from the Achilles shot. Hardek survives. You don't want to run up the lane right now, though. Here comes the remaining members of Liberation X. They find Co-Eds. They're going for Hardek. They get both the kills. Status Baked, though. The turret. Oh, it's not going to be enough. He gets out of there.
That was a very well-executed dive coming out from Liberation X.
What?
Immediately collapsing upon...
Why are they pulling the gold by Status
Well,
Baked?
he very nearly died there on a scout trap, but it looks like Lost Boy
Lost Boy
Toph.
Toph, he finds it! He gets the gold mine too! He might even be able to get Dawn Eclipse. What a play from Lost Boy Toph. Him and the clutch plays this series is insane. He's looking for T-Tigers. He's getting kited though. The scout trap finds it. Dawn Eclipse with the kill.
That was another fantastic play coming out from Lost Boy Toph, but immediately Hardek is going to find T-Tigers on the backline, pick himself up another kill. Oh man, this game, already we're seeing constant back and forth while the kills are very heavily in the favor of Liberation X. Nemesis Hydra demonstrating that they're not completely out of this one yet. Picking up that gold mine, it wasn't a massive payout, but they are going to get a little bit more vision control around the bottom half of the map. Status Baked is going to be forced out of the top lane, but Hardek is really having a rough time. Co-Eds!
Oh, he is going to get caught out a little bit here. Can they maybe chase down for the kill? Hardek on the flip side. Status Baked doing a lot to him. They're going to try and go for more. Status Baked onto Co-Eds. He gets the second kill, and actually the Hellfire Brew not even required. Very nice work coming out from LibX. 2-for-1 trade.
So Co-Ed's a little bit out of position right there. Didn't quite realize that Status Baked had hit that level 6 and did have his ultimate available. Easily catches Co-Eds out, and that means that they use their numbers advantage as well as the level advantage to pick up that extra kill onto Hardek. Very well played coming out from Liberation X. Once again, recognizing their power spikes, using that level advantage that they have.
Status Baked is 7-for-1 right now. He has higher than 1 kill a minute at this point. Liberation X are really the freight train that we have described them as before, just rolling through the jungle right now, picking up so many advantages in the early game. Nemesis is going to have to do something special to come back.
They certainly are. Well, the thing about Liberation X now is they should really look to contest around this gold mine. They have the level advantage. They haven't quite been able to pick up any major items just yet, but they're very, very close to that point in time. You can see the reflex block has been picked up for T-Tigers, so this could be the opportunity for them to pick up that gold mine. You can already see Dawn Eclipse currently sitting on that minion candy. His positioning in these next 2 fights is going to be very important. Yes, he is only level 4, but he can provide a lot of utility, a lot of support for the rest of his team. And that's all he really needs to do. As long as Status Baked and T-Tigers are the ones dealing the damage, then Dawn Eclipse is the one really doing his job perfectly.
Absolutely, and he can really amp up the other members on his team to make them shine even more. The great job of a support is when you don't look like you're the star. right now, Liberation X are certainly hovering around this gold mine. I think taking it would be in their best interest. They are going to start it off. We've seen Lost Boy Toph make some nice plays around here before. That's the Vanguard coming in. Good ultimate out of Status Bake, but Dawn Eclipse nearly falling on the flip side. Hardek finds it. The damage is actually in favor of Nemesis. They get 2 kills. They might look for more. T-Tigers, he wants Hardek, but he bites off more than he can chew. Fan the Flames is ticking, and ace comes through for Nemesis Hydra.
Fantastic response from Nemesis Hydra. I talked about how that minion candy was on top of the gold miner, and that was a big reason as to why Nemesis Hydra were able to come out ahead in that exchange. It was basically a 4 versus 3 as the gold miner was constantly hitting them in the face, and they did not respect that. Fantastic use of that minion candy coming out from Nemesis Hydra to get themselves back into this game.
Yeah, now they are actually at a gold advantage for the first time in this game. 500 in the lead. That's not super substantial, and obviously a lot of the gold on Liberation X is front-loaded onto Status Baked, who is a very important part of their team, but Nemesis, nonetheless, still quite strong right now.
All right, so some very big item spikes have been picked up for the side of Nemesis Hydra, but hang on, another fight is kicking off.
He is trying to engage on the Hardek. He's actually going to run very far into the enemy side jungle. Does get some good chunk onto Status Bake, though. The Dragon's Breath comes out. Coeds wants to turn this fight around. He is putting the hurt onto Tigers, but he's got no support. Lost Boy Toph can't do it. He finds 1 kill, though. Can he get Status Baked? He gets it.
Lost
he might be able
Boy!
to try and get here. The gold mine's hitting down.
He does it again!
Lost Boy Toph again!
Lost Boy Toph
What
does
a
it
player!
again! This guy!
He is a god!
Oh,
he
this
is a god!
Oh, Lost Boy Toph, how do you do it, man? That was a 1 versus 3 playing around the minion mine. The gold miner even. Oh, that was unbelievable. This guy.
Is Lost Boy Toph the MVP or is the gold miner MVP, though?
Oh, come on, you have to give that to Lost Boy Toph. If he hadn't used that minion candy at just the right time, things would not have worked out for Nemesis Hydra. We felt like that we hadn't been talking about the supports enough, but there's no one else to talk about in this game because Lost Boy Toph has been on fire. This guy.
That was just ridiculous. I mean, I'm almost kind of speechless off the back of that. He has, in 2 games in a row, single-handedly made plays that have just completely turned things around.
Our analysts are already like, Lost Boy Toph better be the MVP, regardless of win or lose. He is playing out of his mind this series. Liberation X, though, they still have fair advantages in terms of their itemization. Well, actually, looking at it, things have totally swinged in their favor. I was going to talk about Hardek picking up that tension bow means that he's going to be doing a lot more damage now. But even so, Liberation X were able to come out ahead in that fight. If it wasn't for the gold miner, Liberation X definitely would have won, and they're looking for another engagement.
The Hellfire Brew does fly onto Coeds, but a good reflex block means that he basically just gets tickled by that. It's more of an inconvenience than anything else. So trying to go onto Hardek, that is a lot of damage coming out of T-Tigers, but now they've actually put themselves in a bit of a dicey position. Hardek might look for some kind of an engagement here. He's going to play it safe, though. I like the decision of Nemesis not to over-aggress off the back of these fights, considering that the gold miner was admittedly a big part of their damage when they were able to win those. However, positioning-wise, Libex getting out-rotated here a little bit. This turret is taking a lot of damage.
Well, this was very smart from Nemesis Hydra. They realized that Liberation X immediately went for the invade, but hang on, the gauntlet goes down.
Hardek, he might have bitten off more than he could chew here, going very deep, trying to find that pick onto Tigers. Status Bake now chasing in here, might go for the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Are the reflex blocks there? Coeds, he doesn't have his. He used it on the Hellfire Brew earlier. He takes a ton of damage. There's a Vanguard keeping him alive. Lost Boy Toph is able to save Coeds for now, but look at this. Liberation X, they're continuing to chase in here. Dawn Eclipse with the boots, speeds up, gets the slow onto Lost Boy. That's going to be a reflex block, but it's not going to be enough, or is it? Lost Boy Toph, he gets a return kill. This guy!
Lost Boy Toph made the best out of a bad situation. After picking up the turret up in the lane, they were able to rotate around. Liberation X tried to capitalize by going for that exchange. They were able to pick off Hardek on the backline due to a beautiful Verse of Judgment that came out from Dawn Eclipse. Lost Boy Toph did an amazing job of keeping Coeds alive for such a long time. Coeds was throwing out as much poke as possible. Lost Boy knew that there was no way he was going to get out, so he went down with Status Bake to make sure that it was a 1 for 2 overall.
Tell me which of these score lines sounds like the carry on your team. 3, 5, and 5 or 5, 4, and 6. I tell you what, Lost Boy Toph is actually getting more kills, getting more assists. He's basically playing support carry.
But have a look at Hardek, currently sitting at about the same farm as Lost Boy Toff, 3-5-3, only sitting on a tension bow and a reflex block. He really hasn't had the opportunity to be involved in these engagements. Once he gets the next few items, he should be able to have a bit more of an impact, but right now, he really isn't doing very much for the side of Nemesis Hydra.
Yeah, Liberation X, they need to work on getting these late games to work for them. Both times
Infusions.
we've seen great early games, but just a fall off as things advance. Status Baked trying to go into Hardek, they're not going to find it. We are seeing some infusions picked up here, so both of these teams know that the next big fight is going to be very important. There's only 1,000 gold in the lead that Nemesis Hydra has. They do have 2 turrets, though, so if they take a fight, they can get a big push off.
Nemesis Hydra are playing the macro game very, very well right now. They realize that Liberation X want to try and contest for this immense gold payout, so they pick themselves up the minion candy, but it looks like Nemesis Hydra going
look
for
at
it.
that gauntlet. It locks in 2 members. Hardek is going to take a lot of damage, but Donaclips falling quite low. He can't get the Verse of Judgment off. This is Coeds on the back line. No one is trying to get to him. He is completely healthy, putting down the damage, and Nemesis Hydra with a very one-sided fight there.
I feel like that was somewhat misplayed from Dawn Eclipse. He should have prioritized on providing support for Status Baked.
Status Baked. That's going to be the afterburn. Why didn't he run back to his base with the teammate? He is going to go down. Nemesis Hydra, they don't need the gold miner to win fights anymore. They are doing it all by themselves.
And this is probably the first time this game that Nemesis Hydra have had a chance to actually see the jungle. Simply due to the amount of pressure that Status Baked and Dawn Eclipse have been putting down, they've finally been able to turn things around off the back of some fantastic plays coming out from Lost Boy. He knows exactly when to engage. He can peel so fantastically well. This guy is off the hook. He is so good.
He really is. I mean, it can't be understated, and I think he is going to be immortalized in many montage videos of this tournament moving forwards. What a beast. Looking across at the items, though, where are we at with Liberation X? When are they going to get to a point where they can start winning fights again?
Well, that's the real question, because right now Status Baked hasn't really picked up anything significant other than the broken myth. He's still working towards a couple of defensive itemizations so that he can be that strong front line that can still do a lot of damage alongside Dawn Eclipse. T-Tigers has completed the breaking point along with the Sorrow Blade and as well as the Aegis, so he's in a pretty good position if T-Tigers is going to be the one that Liberation X are relying on to turn these fights around.
All right, so Hardek just picked up the first minion mine of the game. This is a hard-bringer for Nemesis. They're trying to say, we want to start making the plays to actually end this. LibX, they do get a tiny payout from the gold mine with 30 seconds left on the Kraken. They're going to get a double payout from that. But look at this, Nemesis, the response is perfect. They get a free turret.
Here comes the Hellfire Brew. It does look like Liberation X may want to go for an engagement here. Status Baked is going for the chase. The Warhorn has been popped.
Yeah, they did burn Coed's reflex block there. Isn't going to be enough, though. The gauntlet gets thrown down. Status Baked is alone inside of it. Knocked in with the afterburn. That was a beautiful play coming out of Lost Boy Toff and Hardek. This could be a big fight for Nemesis. They go on to Dawn Eclipse. T-Tigers on the side falling very low as well. It's going to be an ace. And what a big fight for Nemesis. They could actually go for end here.
They've got the minion mine. They've got the ace, the empowered minions to look for this siege. Lost Boy Toff, along with Hardek, did so much work in that fight. Hardek has not been performing this game, but right at the end there, he was able to get a beautiful afterburn, stunning up Status Baked, and once he was almost deleted from the fight at the get-go, it was just a simple cleanup for Nemesis Hydra.
Yeah, Status Baked and several LibX members are spawning right now, but look at how quickly the Vein Crystal is melting. They're just going for it. Guys, Nemesis Hydra lead 2-0. The next game of this